Hey, what's happening? Welcome back to The Bald Perspective. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens have a big opportunity on Sunday to reach the 5-5 mark. Now, for a regular team, for a franchise that does not have a superstar quarterback, for a franchise that was not marketed as one of the Super Bowl favorites, and all of the other hoopla that came along with the Baltimore Ravens this past offseason, 5-5 would be a high mark. But for us, Ravens fans, the Ravens organization, it's something we don't celebrate, but it's absolutely something we should have our eyes set on. What would 5-5 represent for the Baltimore Ravens? Well, number one, I think it could represent a fresh start. You see, opening the season, as we all know, 0-1. We got to 1-1 with a win against the Cleveland Browns. And from that point on, it was a downhill trajectory, leaving us at 1-5 entering the bye week. Man, a lot of work to do. A major hill to climb to 2-5, to 3-5, to 4-5. And although the competition and or the quarterbacks that we would play past the bye week were not at that superstar franchise changing level, you have to play and beat the teams who are on your schedule. And the Baltimore Ravens have done just that. But let's take a quick look back. Let's take a peek into how they did that. Coming out of the bye week, Lamar Jackson was noted and promoted to be the starter facing off against the Chicago Bears. And for whatever happened, he didn't start. Enter stage right, Tyler Huntley. And he came in and he did an admirable job, earning the Baltimore Ravens a win against the Chicago Bears, moving us to 2-5. On a short week, here comes Lamar Jackson getting back under center. A real spark, a real motivator, and the Baltimore Ravens went out and did what they were supposed to do against an injured, middling Miami Dolphins team. Handled our business, 3-5. All right. Now, this past Sunday, which was probably the most complete team that we would face. They have a really good wide receiving group. They have a above average tight end. They have a decent to above average offensive line. At least it did not show on Sunday. They have a really good collection of running backs led by veteran Aaron Jones. And from front to back, they had a solid defense and a good defensive coordinator. And although the Baltimore Ravens did not look stellar Sunday, the run game wasn't really fluid. The pass game was not really fluid, leaving Lamar Jackson with only 170 yards passing. But special teams forced a turnover, defense forced 2 turnovers, and the Baltimore Ravens capitalized and got a win in Minnesota. Now, 4-5. So we go inside the division, facing off against the Cleveland Browns. And we all understand, being a Baltimore Ravens fan, but having seen the AFC North competition, whether the franchise was struggling or not, is always a heated matchup. It's always a heated matchup. It's kind of a grit and grind game every time we face off against these teams. The Cleveland Browns, who are kind of a similar mess as they were last year, they went 1-1 against the Ravens. So we understand that Cleveland always brings it. Myles Garrett is having another career year. So we understand from a defensive perspective, the Browns will always bring it. They will hit you in the mouth. They're going to try to stop the run, and they're going to try to do some things to confuse you on the back end. And with this level of pass rush, they absolutely could cause the Baltimore Ravens and their offensive line, who is still struggling, some harm, right? So the Baltimore Ravens perspective, we need to come into this game and have no expectation to dominate on the ground. I don't think that's possible at this point. But we do need to try and run the ball, and we need to execute in the pass game. We absolutely need to be spot on. We need to be more timely. We need to be more fluid. I do not think that Lamar Jackson can have, I don't want to call it an off game, but I will call it an average game. I don't think Lamar can have an average game against this Browns team and we really come out successful unless we're still forcing the turnovers. But we all understand turnovers are a hit or miss. Sometimes they'll come in waves, sometimes there'll be a drought. And so I don't know what this game will be. I guess Dylan Gabriel, I think that's his name, the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Sometimes you don't really know because they've had a myriad of quarterbacks over the last couple of seasons. Hopefully, we can cause him some confusion. Hopefully, we can force a couple of turnovers and give this offense some extra cracks at the end zone. Nevertheless, I think it's going to be a grit and grind game, but I do believe the Baltimore Ravens have the potential to break away late in this game, maybe mid third quarter, maybe into the fourth quarter. I do believe that could happen. But back to the original point. 5-5, I believe, would be a fresh start for the Baltimore Ravens. It's the opportunity to say, okay, bam, new season. It's kind of like being 0-0 at the beginning of a season. You see, because the 10 games we've played, they're evidence that we've played football this year. But there will be 10 games behind us, 10 games we don't have to focus on, 10 games we don't have to figure out what went wrong. Excuse me. And so now we could focus on, okay, get a win on Sunday, on the road once again. Then we can return home and face off against a Jets team who were sellers at the trade deadline. But first, we got to handle our business against Cleveland. 5-5 would give us an opportunity to kind of reset. It would give us an opportunity to kind of create a new focus, to catch that late season momentum. You guys know what that looks like. Remember 2023, how we start bashing teams over the head late in that season? Remember 2024? Once the bye week was over, I think we had a late bye week last year for sure. It was like week 12, maybe 13. And how we came out of the gates after that bye week, we beat the Giants, we beat the Steelers, we beat the Texans. Remember all of those games we had in like a 2-week span? And we were coming out with solid victories against good competition. I think this 5-5, if we can get this win on Sunday, creates that kind of narrative for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, granted, we do have some injuries. Rashad Bateman went down. Marlon Humphrey went down this past Sunday. I do not think they play this upcoming week. And so we'll have to see. But I do think it is an opportunity for a guy like a Tez Walker, who has absolutely disappeared out of the Baltimore Ravens rotation, to get some run. Because all he did in the early part of the season was what? Catch touchdowns. But for whatever the reason, he kind of fell out of the rotation, and this is an opportunity. He and Rashad Bateman are very similar in size. They have similar speed. Well, let me say it this way. Tez Walker is probably the faster player at this point, but we do know that Rashad Bateman was fast coming out of college. He was also a 4.3 guy as well. And so I think this is an opportunity for Tez Walker. I think this is an opportunity for Charlie Kolar to get on the field more with a big body presence. He's been doing well over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And then I also think it's an opportunity to show some different things offensively out of the backfield. Maybe a Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell pairing, offer a little more deception. And so I'm kind of excited about what's going to happen for the Baltimore Ravens. I decided to turn the page on what had all went wrong with this season and just kind of focus on what could go right for this season. Now, let me be clear. I'm not putting us in the playoffs. I'm not putting us even in any type of Super Bowl conversation. It's too early for that yet. We first must get to 5-5. You guys let me know what you think. What does 5-5 mean for the Baltimore Ravens? And if you've been here this long, do me a favor, hit that like, hit the subscribe, and go ahead and touch that notification bell so you get updates when we put out new content. I'm your guy, Belanger, and until next time, I'm out.